revealed the 14,000 foreign criminals let off for saying sorry, with sex offenders, drug traffickers, and violent thugs all escaping charges. Sex offenders, drug traffickers, and violent thugs are among 14,000 foreign criminals who have been let off without a conviction because they said sorry for their crimes. The foreigners were among more than 412,000 offenders who escaped receiving a criminal record over the last 3 years because they were handed community resolution orders instead of being charged. The orders, which see criminals apologize for their actions, are meant for low-level crimes and were introduced to allow troubled youths and first-time offenders to avoid a criminal record and get their lives back on track. But figures obtained by the Daily Mail show that the soft-touch orders have been used to deal with serious crimes, with 2,949 sex offenders among those who did not face court because they apologized. 2 rapists were among the thousands of offenders let off, as were foreign child sex offenders. Hundreds of drug offenders and violent criminals from overseas were also sent on their way with a slap on the wrist. The figures further highlight the farcical state of Britain's justice system, as Labour faces mounting pressure over prisoners mistakenly freed from jail and controversy over the government's early release scheme. The new data, obtained under Freedom of Information laws from 38 of the UK's police forces, show that sex offenders from Albania, Congo, Iran, the Philippines, Hungary, Poland, Latvia, Romania, India, France, Lithuania, Pakistan, Nepal, Hong Kong, Algeria, Syria, Nigeria, and Zimbabwe were all handed the orders and therefore did not face court. The 5 sex offenders from Iran, Philippines, Nepal, Romania, and Zimbabwe sexually assaulted teenage girls, but were let off without charges, as were flashers from Syria, Algeria, and Nigeria. And a Chinese national was also let off for child cruelty. Drug offenders from 128 different countries were handed community resolution orders, as were violent criminals from 99 nations. The figures and number of offenders from overseas is likely to be far higher, as some forces were unable to provide data or say where the offenders were from. Not one of Britain's 44 police forces kept a record of how many community resolution orders they were handing to asylum seekers. Rapists in Derbyshire and Humberside were handed community resolution orders instead of being charged. The case in Derbyshire involved a boy under the age of 14 raping a girl of similar age. In Durham, 2 sex attackers from the Philippines and Iran were let off with the soft-touch orders. Across the country, 24 girls under the age of 13 and 13 preteen boys were sexually assaulted, only for their attackers to be let off following an apology. At least 134 sexual assaults of girls aged 13 to 16 were dealt with using community resolution orders. Nearly 750 people were caught with indecent photos of children, but were handed the soft-touch orders, and almost 165 cases of sexual activity with children ended in the offenders being let off too. At least 175 sexual assaults of adults ended with the attackers being let off following an apology, as well as 6 perverts caught with the worst form of bestiality porn. 80 people escaped charges for child cruelty, as did 6 kidnappers and people who abducted children. Community resolution orders were introduced so victims could be involved in the justice process. The orders are often used when shoplifters are caught in the act, or to punish youths so they do not get a criminal record. An apology has to be accepted by the victim, and the person who received the order may have to do some form of community service. A Derbyshire police spokesman said of the child rape that was dealt with using a community resolution order. This case relates to a reported rape of a girl by a boy when both were under the age of 14. On completion of the investigation, a specialist multi-agency panel judged that the case was appropriate for a community resolution. This was communicated to the victim and their family. A series of interventions were held with the boy, which included crime, consequences, and victim awareness, and since the incident, the boy has not been a suspect in any further incidents in Derbyshire. A Durham police spokesman said, "Community resolution covers a number of disposal options, including restorative justice programs or the victim accepting an apology. Each case is looked at on an individual basis, and the best interests and welfare of the victim are the center of that. Before using a community resolution, the previous behavior of the offender, the severity of the offense, along with the wishes of the victim, must be considered to ensure we have done the right thing for the victim." Humberside police declined to comment. Deputy Assistant Commissioner Dr. Allison Haydari, from the National Police Chiefs Council, said, "Out-of-court resolutions, SR, are a highly effective way of delivering justice, supporting community safety, and preventing future offending. We know there's a lot of work for policing to do to ensure that UCR are fully understood by the public, and that policing can deliver them in an appropriate and timely way. In order for UCR to be effective, we need a whole system approach that includes our partner agencies and the voluntary sector. Community resolutions, conditional cautions, and deferred prosecution schemes provide policing with an opportunity to work together and help divert individuals away from criminality, as well as delivering swift justice for victims. But delivery must be consistent in order to achieve the benefits we know they can provide. We regularly review the use of community resolutions, and over the next few months we'll be updating our guidance to reflect feedback received in a recent published report.